Sorry. That nigga's hilarious. This guy. People putting some really funny things on my on the Facebook post.
All right, we are here. Thank you so much for tuning in for Girlfriendz Chat Corner. I'm your host, Inga Anderson, and today I am solo. Anyway, you guys, I had to bring a special Friday night chat corner because it's hot for one, and for two, I have Stone Paxton in the chat corner. You hear me? I mean, this man has done so much music producing. He's on the label with Troop Reloaded. He's one of the members of that band too. So welcome, Stone. I see you doing the COVID. I see you got the mask. You're being safe. You're in the studio.
Yeah, being safe. I got people in here behind the camera, and we practice the social distancing, but at the same time, we can get some work done. You know what I mean?
That's dope. That's dope. So I mean, so you got your people there right now. You guys just practicing. You just came on here to chat with me for a minute. That's wonderful. Now, now that the COVID has came, I mean, all us promoters and producers, I mean, our businesses have stopped, but you're still going right here. You still making music, aren't you?
Yeah, because I mean, here's the thing. Like, this is a time where artists have to really figure out shifting to second gear. And because I come from that old school element, I just look young, but I was blessed to have some of the old school, but I'm still able to be a part of this new school thing. I have that old mentality of marketing and promotions, and we have to take advantage of this moment. We have to, as artists. And it's the time to write, time to create, and to help people heal. And the people that are, worried about things, we use this music to create and help these people heal. You know what I mean?
So this is a full-time job for you that you don't just put down on the shelf because something has happened. You're constantly, grinding and doing this business. That's great. Now, let's talk about, because I mean, you're in the chat corner. So let's talk about you and who are you? I mean, when I seen you online and heard some of the music, I was really intrigued by it. That's why I had to reach out to you. Then I find out, you work with all these people. I mean, the list is crazy. Brian Adams, Ginger Spice, Teddy Riley, Marva King. Um, you remix some things for Tevin Campbell. The list goes on and on. So let's talk about you. How long have you been in the business for one?
You know what? This will be 34 years. I've been
Wow,
in the music
wow.
industry. Yeah, it's been a long time, and it's and I've been working like literally the 34 years. It's been consistent, nonstop. I've been working. Nothing
That's
stopped me.
awesome. That's awesome. And I also heard, I'm just saying, that's what I do in chat corner. I heard that you had a little bit something to do with Neo. I love his music.
Now that's an interesting story because I um I don't get to talk about that story that much. I just had an interview from a magazine in London that asked me some questions about that. And yeah, I mean, he's from Vegas, and when he was young, him and there was another artist too from Vegas by the name of Corey Clark. I don't know if you remember him from American Idol. He got
Yeah, the Paula thing, but yeah. Yes, I
he
remember
was
that. I
famous for
remember
it.
that.
So I had Corey Clark and I had Schaefer, which is you guys know him as Neo, which is
Neo,
the
yeah.
group. and I called the group Envy, and that was my group. And that was the beginning of the both of those guys' careers. Need I say more? And the rest is history.
So they both were together. That's a weird mix, though.
Yeah, well, Schaefer was a singer, more of the singer. Corey could sing, but there were a few other guys in the group too. It was 5 guys.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it was an interesting combination, but Schaefer was really more of the singer. Corey could sing, but Schaefer just had that extra special something, you know what I mean? But
Right. Well, you can tell, now, I mean, look at him now. I mean, he's amazing, and
it started with me.
yeah.
I created that whole element that turned into what it is now.
Wow, that's amazing. So you have also too, of course, I was talking to you yesterday. You play how many instruments? You were telling me about the drums, the keys, the bass, the guitar. I mean, how many instruments do you play?
I mean, conservatively, one would say I play 20 or 30. Well, no. Conservatively, one would say 5 or 6. But once you know music theory and you know about piano and guitar and bass, you pretty much play more than 6 instruments because you can literally pick up a horn and pick your notes out. So it's limitless. So I would have to say, 20 instruments. If we include percussion and the physical instruments, as far as like piano, the acoustic instruments, guitar, yeah, at least 20 instruments and horns. I picked up horns and played. Although when I went to school, I wasn't a horn player. I was a drummer and vocalist and percussionist, but I still dabbled in piano and learned piano at an early age, playing in church. Like I was playing drums at 6 and all that stuff.
So your background is from church also too. You started in church.
Yeah, my mom was an evangelist. We went to church. Seems like 7 days a week. IWW Youth Ministries. I mean, every time I looked up, it felt like we were in church. So that was my background, and it was a very powerful background. A lot of it has to do with why I am who I am musically to this day.
So so there's so much to talk about, and I apologize if I skip all around places, because you're a very interesting person. So let's start in the beginning. When you came on the scene, who were you with, and what were you doing at the time you first came out with music?
Okay, when I first came out, I mean, you want me to go in deep detail about the story?
I do. Hey, we're here to chat. I want to know about you.
So the beginning of the story started in Illinois, and there was a guy named Peter Worth. He was at that time he was managing Snap and some other groups, Dougie Fresh and Brenda K.
Dougie.
And they came to a team club, and this team club, me and my buddies used to go hang out. That's where we go meet the girls, and dance until we sweat our clothes off all night, And there was a concert. They were just breaking the New Kids on the Block. They weren't even big yet. They were just doing the tour, like creating this small little club tour, and I met him. But when I met him by myself, and I had a demo, and I said, sir, can I? I'm a singer. I want to give you my demo of my group. Now I didn't have a group at that time. I didn't have a group, but it was all me singing on the demo. So he said, okay, well, look, he said, before the club is done tonight, come see me by the tour bus and, give me your tape. So I gave him, and it was a 4-track recording. So back then, that's what we recorded on. We didn't have all this cool stuff,
Right.
I gave him a 4-track recording, and it was me singing on everything. So by the time he made it back to New York after they did that small little promotional run, because they were trying to break the New Kids, he got back to New York. He called me, and he said, do you have any pictures of the group? And I got scared. I was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, I lied. And then I called up my friends and called up people and said, hey, here's the opportunity. Called up my play cousin and said, we got to put a group together. I got to get some pictures to this guy. I lied and said that I had a group, and it's just me. And so we seemed to pull it off. And from that point, they start funding all of our recording sessions. And in the preparation for taking that demo to CBS and other labels, since they were already in cahoots with every major label, because they had every major artist they were managing to shop us our deal. and the new kids just blew up so fast during. It's like we came at the right time, but we came at the wrong time too. Because here's middle America kids from Boston, 5 white guys who blew up, and then you had these young black dudes that the company had just signed. Who are they going to put the money into? These kids that just literally went from here to there. So we kind of got caught up in the shadows of all. We were with the right company at the right time, but at the same time, it was the wrong time. It was so weird. But
It
we
was
were able to
weird.
go out on tour. It was very weird. But I'll tell you something magical about it. We were able to go out on tour with the new kids, Marky Mark, when all those guys, we knew those guys when they were young. We were all the same age at that time. So we were able to go out and see this big tour, millions of people. You step out on the stage, millions of people just were so far out that the crowd just didn't seem to end. You had to do that, and you still didn't see the crowd. We were able to experience all those great things. But when it came to the album, we had cut all these records. When it came to the record coming out, it just kind of came to a halt. You know what I mean? It was a tough time in my life because when you're young, you don't think about the money. You don't think about,
No.
especially us.
Mm-mm.
You know,
No.
like now kids think about the money. We
Right.
didn't care about the money. Like when we grew up, it was about rehearsing in the garage, rehearsing, playing, rehearsing. It was about being on the stage, the lights. It was about chasing the dream and not the money.
Right. Right.
Period.
Right.
And and
And
because of
do
that,
you think that, back then, looking on it, from the grown man that you are now, that it's easier for a person that chasing the talent and not the money to get taken advantage of? The kids nowadays, they look at the money, they want the money. But back then, talent came from, you just working on your craft on a constant basis, and now it's just different. So you think that, back then was better when you were chasing the talent, or is it better that the kids are chasing the money instead?
well, honestly, chasing the talent and the dream was more interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because once you realize that there's a lot of musicians that are struggling musicians and artists, and that dream sometimes can look very much like it's not going to happen. Because if you look at TV and you're wondering how this person blew up, and you compare it to yourself and say, I've been doing this long, I should be a star, I should be famous. And then you sit there and you go, well, I got the money and I even blew up, but now I'm broke. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know the business. I wasn't really interested in it for the dream. I just wanted the girls and the money. That's
Right.
that's how it is now. And more so back then, we were chasing the dream. But the good part about chasing the dream, old school musicians like myself, and you can call anybody that's a musician, they'll say the same thing I'm saying. We cared about the dream. And this is why it's hard for a younger artist to compete with a seasoned old school person who knows the game, who has learned the new way and still knows the old way, because they have a certain drive that they don't make them like us anymore. They don't.
No. Mm-mm.
They don't
No.
make them like us anymore. So people wonder how I'm able to do all the things you see me doing and still stay consistent in this business and make a living. And this is all I do. I don't do anything on the dark side. I do everything on the righteous side, and I always
Right.
have. And I
Right.
tell artists, when you learn to do it right and when you have a passion for something, you're gonna go through the struggle, but learn everything about the business so that when opportunity presents itself, you can take advantage of the business that will allow you as an artist to stay in the business. It's 90% business. It's called the music business, not the artist business. And once artists start understanding that, then you're able to utilize the principles of the business side to stay in the business as an artist.
And that's like you were talking like last night, you were talking about that. You're also known that artists come to you for information because you're so seasoned that they come to you for your knowledge of what, because you know every parts of the business.
Yeah, and that's another weird part because I've literally sat here in the studio, and this studio is in my home, and a lot of heavyweight important people come through this door, and they call me and they come to meet with me, and they say, Stone, I need your help. And I've always thought to myself, that is probably the most exciting thing that I've accomplished in my life. Yeah, the awards, but songs charting and uh, a song getting considered for a Grammy, like my album did. I was excited for that. I didn't win; it got considered, but I get more excited when I have some of the people that I grew up on call me and say, "Hey, Mr. Paxton, I need your help." Because to me, that means that I learned my craft with business and also with my production and writing and arranging enough to where those people feel like they can trust my
Right.
words and my knowledge to help them expand their career to the next level.
You know what? And something else amazing about you, we talked last night about your career before we did this interview. And you said something to me about music. You said, I write all the time. So sometimes I forget I wrote something. And then you'll hear it on the radio. You're like, wait a minute, that sounds familiar. And it's your style because you wrote it. Now, I don't know how many songs that you have written, but if you had to guess, how big is that number?
I have about in my catalog about over 5,000 songs in my catalog,
Wow.
and and
Oh,
and those and those are the ones that I know about. There's still there's still songs that I have in boxes on DAT and ADAT that I haven't even went back to revisit. So the 5,000 are the ones that I actually know. That, okay, here's 5,000 songs in my catalog. I haven't gotten to those yet, so I don't know how many are in that set right there because I haven't even counted them.
so how's that process happen? So you're just on a plane going to whatever, and maybe you and your girl got into it. You decide, I'm gonna write a song. How's that
Yeah.
process happen?
Well, the strange part, oh my God, I had this album I put out in 2005, right? And I was going through a divorce, and it's called Zodiac Volume One. So my whole
Okay.
concept for the Zodiac was every album is a Zodiac album. Up to 12 albums, I don't do anymore Zodiac. But when I was writing that album in 2005, my mother had just passed away. So I was in between my mother who passed away, and then preparing for this heavyweight divorce. In the meantime, I was writing this record. So when I go back and I revisit that album, it's a combination of all the things I was going through, and I probably would have never written it had I not went through those experiences. So sometimes I tell people I don't want to be upset. I tell people don't call me and upset me when I'm working
Right.
or I won't answer my phone. I say because I need to focus on my work. But what I've learned is sometimes that crazy storm creates some of the greatest songs. And I had to go back and think, when did I write some of my best songs? I wrote some of my best songs when I was going through my worst adversity in life. I wrote some of my best songs. So it's kind of like it's a yin and yang. You cannot not have the negative actually helps mold some of those positive songs that you can come up with. Because if everything is perfect, then all the songs are going to be happy all the time. And who's always happy? I mean, we want to be happy, but we wake up, people are not happy every day.
No, no, not
I
at
mean, we
all.
want to be. We look for the light of happiness. I'm a Buddhist, so I do believe in it's a karma code. What we think and what we do is what interjects back into our spirit in our life. But on the average, people wake up, they deal with all kinds of things. So I always say that when you write an album, if you hear emotions in an album with different subject matters and topics, it's typically the artist writing about their life and what they're going through. And that's what makes some of the best records. And that's how I am. Like, I get off the phone with you, I sit in here and write 6 songs. Just because you might have said something that inspired me.
I hope you do. I hope you do. Now,
And
okay,
it works.
so I think that some of the best artists, when they're writing music, they write. I mean, Mary J. Blige. We like Mary when she's happy, but we also like Mary when she's sad because she bring out all kind of stuff in her music. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know who written for Luther. It was a guy out of California.
Michael
Yeah,
Narada.
I was kind of, I was wondering like what kind of, how what was his writing process because his music was so soulful when he written it for Luther. I don't know, it was different.
He's like you know who Diane Warren is, right?
No, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You know who Diane Warren is, right?
No.
Well, she's this white lady, and she's freaking incredible. I mean, she's written for the Rolling Stones, Mary J. I mean, you can name any artist from R&B to rock to country. This woman has written for, and if you pulled up her picture right now, you'd say, "What?" But because she just doesn't look like she's written all that great. She looks like maybe a school teacher or somebody that works for the city.
Wow.
Just,
Yeah.
just
I
an
mean,
incredible songwriter.
wow.
But what they do is, let's say you came in the studio to work with me, and you call me and say, Stone, I want you to do my album. The first thing I do is I get to know you, because I have to write for you, and I have to influence your writing. So I get to know you. I get to know what you're going through, your problems, and then we might hang out for 2 days before we work, and then we go in the studio and we work. And I got an understanding a little bit of what's going on in your life. We start to attack the stories about your life, and we put that into lyric and melody with music. And
Wow.
that's how that.
So you write it up, and then you'll do the melody to it.
Yep.
Well, let's speed ahead a little bit and talk about you are in Troop Reloaded, and Troop itself is a group back from the 90s that had this huge album out that just went crazy. They was supposed to did a concert here in Cincinnati maybe about 3 years ago, but they didn't show up. Now, I know that they were on Unsung, and you also were a part of the Unsung. So can we touch a little bit on the Unsung with BET? Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Um, so I guess how you came about, from what I researched, from how you came about is that Allen is one of the members of the Troop group, and you and him were friends. So when he was kicked out of the group of Troop, he wanted to keep the name, so you guys started together, Troop Reloaded. Am I clear? Am I right so far?
Well, kind of, sort of. So what
Okay.
happened was, he did get kicked out of the group, and he wanted to. That was part of his legacy. Like
Uh-huh.
you can't have an artist in a group, and a group kicks an artist out of that group, and then they just supposed to erase all their history with the group. It doesn't work that way. So he understood that he had to continue to go. It's not like he chose to get kicked out at that time. It's for some reason that was a choice that was made, and he accepted it. One thing I like about Al is, when you get to know him, he doesn't really make big deals about stuff. Like if you said, I don't like this, and he's okay. So when they wanted him out of the group, we talked, and my thing was to tell him, I was like, man, let's try to figure out a way to work it out. Let me talk to him. And he was like, nah, it's cool. It's okay. And he accepted it. And I thought that was incredible, because I was thinking to myself, would I have accepted that? It showed me how much spirit he had inside of him to be able to accept. In Buddhism, we believe that in order to live, you got to first accept what's here. Like, so you don't worry about the good. There is no good, there is no bad. And when he did that, I told him, I said, you're a Buddhist. And he laughed at me. And he said, what do you mean? I said, because you weren't even worried about the fact that you have all this history, and you just accepted the fate. And was like, okay, I'm just going to keep moving. Do Troop Reloaded and drop some records, and come on, Stone, let's go. And that's how that happened. Him and I came together, and not only Troop Reloaded, we have another brand that we do called New Soul with him and I. And that's how that happened. You know what I mean? And like I said, at first, I was really, I love Troop. I mean, I was in a group around that time, similar to Troop. So my thing is to help people keep their legacies going. So I was trying to figure out a way to keep the element together, and it worked out in the end anyway for the best. But at that time, he had to make a choice, and his choice was to let me keep going. Let me not look at the problem. Let me go create something new that I can still have a piece of my legacy that I created, and I can continue to live off of as an artist who had put into the original legacy.
Well, you were saying earlier though that by him being in Troop and having that legacy with Troop, I mean, can he really be kicked out the group? I mean,
No.
when you go to hire somebody and you hire Troop, can you really exclude a member of It just sounds
And that
kind of
was the problem.
strange.
And that was the problem because see, it wasn't like Al was a third wheel. He was, and when you think of Truth, like let me just say me. Let's say I didn't know Truth, and we turned on the radio, and I was hearing these guys for the first time. Alan had such a signature voice that, to me, from the first time I heard Truth, I always thought about him. I don't even know why. I have no idea. But his voice just always stood out. So he had such a signature sound that made Truth what it is. Not that Steve didn't, because Steve's voice too had this thing about it. But Alan had something special, and to me, that was a Truth sound. Period. Take away Alan out of the variable, it doesn't sound like Truth anymore, because
Wow.
that's what made that sound the sound. He just had an inflection in his vocals that Steve wasn't doing, and that John wasn't doing, and the combination of Steve and Al together made the Truth sound. Just like the combination of me and Al together makes Truth Reloaded and New Soul. There was
Mm.
something special about when they're together. So when you take Al out, you don't have Truth anymore. And they had to figure that one out and revisit it, and rightfully so.
With the talent that you and Alan have, and the new changes that are coming through with a Troop Reloaded, is there a difference between the group? Do you feel like it's still the same type of vibe, uh, uh, musically wise, on both teams? I mean, when I go to a Troop Reloaded concert, am I going to get Troop, or am I going to get a different version of Troop?
Well, Truth Reloaded, if you heard the songs that Al and I did, I'll have to ask you this question. When you hear him and I together,
I
do you
do.
feel do you feel like you're listening to Truth, or do you feel like you're listening to something that has a different inflection and something special and different about it?
I do. I do. I do. I do feel like it's different, but also too, it's a different time from when Troop made music to versus now too. But I do hear that reflection in there. We're gonna try to play a little bit of some of this music towards the end of the show so that everybody can see on Girlfriendz Chat Corner, hear the music. Um, but what I want to talk about now is let's go back, swing back over to BT Unsung. We talked a little bit about that earlier. What did you take from seeing that on BET? What did, as a person watching the show, and you participated also too, what did you take from seeing Unsung with Troop?
Well, what I really took from it, honestly, is it made me happy as hell that I left the group I left back in the day. I mean, honestly, because here's the thing with us as African Americans, you have the Rolling Stones, you have all these white bands who fight and they still tour, who fight and they still stay in the groups together. Only black artists and bands do this, where they fight and they want to kick each other out, and then they don't want to be on the same stage. They don't even want to go get money together. This is how crazy it is. Because this person doesn't want to look to the left and see that person. This is the problem in our community with our icons and the people that we have looked up to. This is what they do. And so
Wow.
with watching this Unsung, as I'm sitting back there at the studios when they were shooting, after they did my part, and I'm listening to Alan talk, and it hadn't set in my spirit. And I started thinking, damn, I'm so glad I left that group back in the day. Can you just
Mm-hmm.
only imagine, had our record came out and it blew up, I'd be telling the same because we were already having issues back then. So it just made me appreciate leaving and focusing on myself. And because Alan has went through everything he went through, and I went through all the stuff I went through in the past, when him and I came together, we made a promise that we would always make it about the music and never about the money and anything else. Nothing is above the music. Nothing is more important than the music, because the music will live on when him and I are gone. So we made a promise to each other that we will never allow anything to come in between the importance of what that music will do for people, so that we
Wow.
never have problems. And we made that promise to each other.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I'm glad you guys did that. That's going to hold. That's going to hold.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of that, you were also a really good friend with Tupac. That was one of your buddies, wasn't it?
I've met Tupac and anybody in the music industry will tell you, because when I tell you everybody Oh my God. This was 1993, and it was in Washington, D.C., and the conference was called the Black Radio Exclusive. I actually have a plaque on the wall because I was on one of their compilations, but from 1995. But it's Black Radio Exclusive, and KVD. I think Buster was there. It was just so many people. Babyface was there. This is where Puffy first introduced that he was putting out a guy named Biggie Small. Craig Mack was there. Puffy was doing the introduction. I was actually in the room where Puffy did the introduction, presenting his new artist, Craig Mack. And Escape had just got their deal signed with Jermaine Dupri. Immature was there. I mean, so many people were there, but I met Tupac and didn't even know who he was because, like I said, he wasn't the Pac that he became. At that time, you could just walk up to him. And he was in a hotel lobby. I think it was a Hyatt. What's the Hyatt? I think it was a Hyatt Regency or Holiday Inn, one of them. He was in the lobby, and my manager and my cousin from the Parliament was with me. His name is Carlos McMurray, Sir Nose Devoid of Funk with the Parliament Funkadelic. So he was with me because when he wasn't touring like with Hammer, he used to dance for me. You know, when I was younger, when I broke off and did my little solo thing. So I was at the BRE conference because at that time I had already left that group I was with, and I had a solo deal with Stallion Records distributed through Belmar. So we were out promoting my record and stuff. And I don't know if you realize, but that conference was a historical moment, just like this Unsung was. And I started to look at all the historical moments that my life had taken me through. And I didn't realize how historical that moment was until I saw that movie with Biggie. When they showed him perform, you remember that performance?
Yeah.
They showed Pac come out. I was there. I was there. But
Right.
hindsight is 2020. So as this is happening, you're not thinking that this is part of history. I was part of hip hop history at a moment in time I didn't even realize that I was. I got to meet Pac earlier on. Only Pac had that Brenda's Got a Baby song out at that time. So he wasn't the Tupac. He wasn't as big as he was in. Like I said, I didn't even know who he was when I saw him. I was just talking to him. He had I think he had a bottle of some kind of whiskey, and they told me he couldn't have it in the lobby. He had it in a brown bag, and that's how we ended up talking because my hair, I used to wear my hair up. It looked like and he thought I was one of Hammer's dancers, so he's cracking about my hair, you know. And I said, no, I don't dance with Hammer, bro. And he asked me what I do. I said I'm an artist. And we started talking. I said I produce, and that's that sparked him. You got anything I can hear? And I said, nah, man, I don't have anything on me. But when I get back to Illinois, I can mail you something. And that was the first time I met Pac, and the rest was history. Although I didn't get, and there was some circumstances that didn't allow me to be able to get any records on his album, but I would have had a lot of songs on Pac because one thing about Pac was, if he liked you as a producer and a person, he was going to use you. But because I was under contract with Mike Concepcion at that time, I wasn't, I have to get permission on any time I work with any outside people. And there was just so much going on at that time. It just never happened. But I was in the mix.
So when you say there's so much going on at that time, he's talking about the battles the riots that happened in California around that time, right? That's what you're talking about. Those
the riots that happened because after all that stuff happened with the group I was with, I ended up leaving the group and I got a solo deal. And then after the solo, here's the strange part. Now this is gonna crack me up. So the group I was with, Trey, our albums never came out because the label never put them out. Dick Scott Entertainment never put the records out. So then I end up with this solo deal. Incredible situation. I end up living with the CEO and his wife, and they took care of me. And I was a young dude. I think I was like 19 or 18 at that time. 17, no, 18, because I was finishing school, 17. And they signed me to their label, and they were distributed by Belmar, which is Al Bell's label, Belmar Records. And I did a whole album. I still have that out. They never put it out. They ended up having problems with funding. That album never came out. So then I was so frustrated that I ended up contacting my original manager, which is the New Kids on the Block's manager. And I asked him, I said, do you have any work, anything I could do, production, writing? And I wasn't trying to be an artist no more. I pretty much was like, I'm done with being an artist, you know. I just want to write and produce. And that's what I told him. He said, well, why? How come you don't want to be an artist no more? I said, I'm just tired. He said, no, just come to, you know, he said, let me handle this stuff. I'm going to Europe with Snap. When I come back, I'm going to fly you to LA. And I got a producer named Nitro. And you can look this guy's name up. He said, Nitro's my producer. I'll get you in the studio with Nitro. And we'll start writing some stuff. And I'll take your album to a label as a solo artist. So here we go again. Here's the roller coaster. I get excited. I'm like, yes, I'm going to LA. And that process starts to happen. And then all of a sudden this Rodney King crap happens and it puts an end to all that. All that stopped happening. And I didn't hear from him anymore. And that was it. There goes my whole, I thought I was going to have this solo record deal again. And it just seems like every time I was right there, it was never me. It was always like management or somebody with the label, something happened. And so I knew that I had to take my career in my own hands from that point. I made a promise to myself that from here on out, I need to put myself in a position as a businessman to be able to win and not let people be in control of whether I'm successful or not. I'm tired of that.
Right.
I made a promise that from here on out, I would do that, but I'm not going to be an artist anymore. I'll focus on writing and producing, and then I moved to the West Coast and end up getting that production deal with Mike Concepcion.
And that's what you would
entertainment.
And how long did you stay with him?
Oh shucks, I was with Mike. 90? Goodness gracious, no, 92? No, 90? No, wrong. No, 97, 98. Up until, you know, one thing you learn about Mike, when you're with Mike, you're with Mike. It kind of never really ends because he's loyal to everybody he helps. So I can call Mike now and be like, Mike, I need to come out and work in the studio and I need to do this and do that. He's, okay, come on. It's like you never, it's even though the contract might say it ends, the relationship is still there.
Now, is he still doing work like that too? Is he still producing and having artists?
Yeah, Mike, I don't know how familiar you are with Mike, but if you remember Tales from the Hood,
Yes.
Fine, Rome, and a lot of people don't know this, but Mike Concepcion was the one that took Dr. Dre to Interscope. Mike was the one that got Dre his deal with Interscope.
Wow.
So if you think about it, if it wasn't for Mike Concepcion, that wouldn't have been an Eminem, there wouldn't have been a 50 Cent because Mike made sure that Dre was good. And then what that did as a catalyst was open the door for everything else that Dre did. So honestly, Mike Concepcion changed hip hop history.
Wow.
And he's so humble. He's so humble, and he's all about helping people and wanting to see people win. And that's what I loved about him. You know, so many people, you know, that don't know him. When you get to know him, it's just he's probably out of all the people that I've met in the music industry, he's done a lot. He's done the most for me, and I appreciate everything he's done. And he's had a lot to do with Kendrick Lamar's career. He that's his cousin's label. He pretty much set his cousin's label up, took it up to Interscope Records, got his cousin's label a deal, and they put Kendrick Lamar out.
Wow. So you've worked. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
He still has his hands in the music industry still to this day.
So what do you think about, you know, this is off the subject, but what do you think about these IG battles everybody's having? You know, because Teddy Riley and was that Babyface did one, which they were actually the first one that did one. And would you do one?
I think, you know, I think it's really cool. You know, I talked to Teddy before he did it. We had talked, and he said he was gonna do that. And so, but he didn't say who he was gonna do it with. So it was kind of cool to see him and Babyface do that. I think what's smart about Teddy and Babyface, who don't have to do this, by the way.
Right, they do not.
They're taking advantage of the time. Yeah, they don't have to do. They can go just chill on a beach somewhere. But they're taking advantage of the moment and allowing themselves to be introduced to a new generation of artists and to let people know that they're down to earth. Because Teddy is is so down to earth, and Babyface is so down to earth. So if you've never met them, I always tell people, think about your uncle or your favorite cousin. That's how they are. They're just so down to earth. You know what I mean? People. So for them to do that, I thought that it was incredible. And now you're starting to see a small trend of people doing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Artists should be doing that. Artists should be
We, you know, I like the way that Jill Scott and Erykah Badu did it. They didn't do it like they called it a battle, but it really wasn't a battle. It was two women celebrating each other's music, and I thought that was just off the chart awesome. So my next question I want to fall into with you is, who would you battle off?
Well, you know what? I wouldn't battle anybody, but because because like I am such a appreciative person of every artist. So, but I would honestly, I would go back old school,
Okay.
and I would do somebody like me and Steve Arrington, like we were on tour together. I would like do a, let's do a little Instagram thing. Me and Steve Arrington are,
Oh, that'd be
and
dope.
you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That would be crazy because that would allow the younger generation to get to know who he is and
Hey,
hear some of his stories and hear some of his music. So,
hey, you need to be hooking that up. I'm gonna have front row computer. I'll be right here. You need to hook that up. Because you know
yeah,
Erykah
I should,
Badu and huh?
yeah, maybe I should.
Yeah, yeah. You know Erykah Badu and Jill Scott had record numbers. They broke the internet. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. So yeah, you know, you never know. It'll be interesting. And hey, we ain't got shit else to do but sit in the house and watch each other. So that would be just great. So you guys can think about that.
What I would like to see is for more independent artists to do that. Compare their music, what they think. You think you're the best rapper? Okay, you guys get on Instagram and let people choose what songs they think are the best between you two. Maybe a rapper from
Stone,
Cincinnati and a
set
rapper
it
from
up. Stone, you go ahead. You go ahead and manage that. Hey, you the man. Go ahead and manage that. I know a lot of artists too. I can just shoot them your way. There you go. You'll be having record numbers. Record
yeah,
numbers. Because you know, you never
I,
find there's all kind of talents.
well,
There's
I'm
all
doing
kind
a
of
live
talent.
on the 31st with my band.
I'm sorry.
I'm doing a Facebook Live, and I think I'll link it to Instagram on the 31st with my band.
Dove. Okay. All right. Is it gonna be Troop Reloaded or yourself?
It's just gonna be Stone Paxton and me reaching out to my fans and all the people that support my music and giving
I'm
them
there.
opportunity if people want to see me. So
Yes, I'm there. You know,
I
it's
want to.
just rock out. Now let's speed up a little bit and talk about your career now, because we were talking earlier a little bit about you are a big artist. I mean, you're a big artist here, but you're a big artist overseas. Your music is breaking charts over there. What's the difference? Why overseas does so much different than the US?
Don't be looking at my toes and stuff.
I won't.
But look, overseas, um, it's so much more forgiving. So what do I mean by that? So us Americans, we feel like we know music, right? So I play something for you, and you say to me, "Yeah, it's all right. You all right. It's all right, Stone." Um, because we are spoiled, so we think we know music, so we don't even give it a chance. But overseas, they can tell you who played the wood block. Japan, they can tell you who played one note on the piano. uh, Amsterdam and Spain, they get into the credits. They still want to see this, the vinyl.
Yes.
They still want a piece of this. They want this. You know what I mean? So overseas, it's just not as political as the U.S. is. It's more forgiving, and they're still really into the real soul essence, the funk and R&B. Um, they just appreciate it and go, they just really appreciate it. And I've learned so much from 1996 to now breaking records over there because I was breaking some of the artists under my label back then overseas, but I learned so much about that market, and I just could never understand why in America we work so hard as an artist, and if you didn't have all the major backing, you wouldn't even be on a shelf back in the day. It was hard to get your music on a shelf, you know. And then you look at the UK, and then you have American artists who can make a living literally by touring over to the UK, dropping records, going over there touring 2-3 times a year, and coming home and not doing too bad. Especially if they tour London, Japan, and Spain, and you know, in Italy, and they're working the circuit. Drop an album, go work the circuit, come back home. Made some
Wow.
good change on top of you're selling your vinyl, because they're still into vinyl. They're still into CDs. You know what I mean?
Now you the overseas, and you do very well. So I know you're a producer. So what kind of advice can you give a young person or a person that's wanting, you know what, I want to try to go, you know, to the overseas market? What kind of advice would you give them to break into that market?
Well, I will say I have an issue with certain practices that younger artists do now. And one of the practices they do is they talk too much and they don't work enough. So the first thing I would say is, I'd check out their work ethic, and I'd say, how's your work ethic? If you don't understand what that means, I'll explain it to you.
Right.
And then being able to, when you're dealing with the overseas market, these guys are these European guys are very intelligent guys, very intelligent. They know the music better. Some they know this music better than Americans do. I'm just gonna be honest. They know the music better than Americans do, and everything they do is based on respect. So if you disrespect them one time, you can hang it up. They're not gonna deal with you. Here with a lot of younger American artists, they operate off of this hype of they have to be this character in order to be in hip hop. Like, I gotta act a certain way, you know what I'm saying? To deal with Inga, I'm a hip hop artist, so I gotta talk to her like this. When in reality, that's not really how it really is anyway. I mean, we've seen the rise and fall of Death Row. That story right there alone should tell people that it's not really like that. And if you really want to be in this business as an artist, first thing you do is learn how to talk to people. And if you want to break into the UK market, my thing is, I dominated some charts in the US. My song charted number 49, number 20, number 13 on the Cashbox National Radio US charts, and the DRT charts, and some other charts here in the US. So I didn't just dominate number 2 on the UK soul charts. I started working my record in the US almost 2 years before I started working it in overseas. I started working the single first. But 2 years here, I worked the single. I went out on the radio and TV, ABC and NBC promotional tour. I mean, I worked it, and then I started working it overseas. When I got it as far as it was going to go here in the US, I shifted gears and started working that same record, but the full album overseas. So there's a certain amount of dedication, Inga. And here's the thing. I tell artists, no young artist is going to beat me. Ain't nobody going to outwork me, period. Because I come from the old school, and we worked. So in order for you to compete with a guy like me, because people think, oh, well, how do you do it? And, you know, and Stone, I'm trying to understand how you're able to work at the level you do. I've worked at this level all my life. So you're not going to outwork me. But what you can do is you can understand how to be successful and apply it the right way. And if you want to break a record overseas, get with the people that can help you and listen to their advice on how to help you get further by working the record overseas can be a catalyst. Prime example, I worked that record over in the UK, right? All of a sudden, stations in the US started playing my record. I thought it was the strangest thing in the world. I said, now here I am. I've spent all this money in the US to break this record, because it does cost money. Then I go overseas, working some marketing dollars. Didn't spend what I spent in the US, which was beautiful. And start getting a lot of attention on the record. The record was on the chart. I'm talking about probably 170, 80 weeks like that, from December to this year. It was just, and it's still getting played.
Wow.
So, I tell artists, I say, okay, so you work the record, and then you work the record, and then you work the record. But I promise you, as God is my witness, 99% of most artists give up halfway
Too
into
hard. Yeah.
the CD. They give up halfway into putting it out and not getting enough people hitting like on Facebook, and they quit.
Right, right. You keep working it.
But
Keep working it.
but we back in the day had to figure out how to get that record on the shelf if you didn't have a major deal. And then if you did have a major deal, they would sign you. Then you got to go out on the road and barely eating, struggling, and the record still might not be doing good because you have a major record deal doesn't mean the album is gonna do good.
Wow.
A label will sign 10 artists, and out of 10 of those artists, how many do you think will actually do well and sell?
Wow.
Only two, only two, and they use those two artists to pay back the money that they lost and have to recoup on the other eight artists that they signed that didn't sell. So because artists that are trying to get these major record deals, I tell them it's not what you think it is. Nowadays, independent is the way to go. If you got somebody with a little money and your record starts to get some attention, it's easy to approach an investor and say, "Hey, Mr. Investor, by the way, my record is actually #1 in Ohio or #1 on a radio station in Chicago. We just need a little money to expand markets." That's interesting to a money person. But I tell people, in order to get to that point, you first got to be dedicated enough to even stay consistent, even when you think that you're not going to make no money. You know how many times I've made no money in this business?
Oh yeah, I believe you. Yes.
I struggled.
Yeah.
I struggled.
Yes.
I
Yes.
struggled. I struggled. But I knew one thing: if I stay consistent with what I'm doing, eventually, you can't strike out 4 times in baseball, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
figure I'm gonna hit the home run sooner or later.
This is one time. Just need that one.
Just one time. And that
Exactly.
one time you need consistency. So I said consistency represents a home run. And I tell people why. Because if you have somebody that's racing you and then your stamina and your wind is good, you're gonna win. It doesn't matter if they're in lead because they're gonna get tired and you're gonna pass them up. And it's about the consistency. There's 2 ways to be successful. You blow up, you become very famous, and then people don't hear about you no more, or you take the long road like I did. And eventually your career continues to grow, and your success when you get it, can't nobody take it away because you worked so hard to build it. And the consistency is what makes success. 2 ways. You get lucky or the consistency. Eventually it happens because it just happens. It's a universal thing. Do something enough, it's gonna happen the way it's supposed to happen. As long as you stay
Right. But we were talking earlier this week, and you also do you have multiple sources. You don't just put your eggs in one basket. I just sing or I just do music. You do a lot of a lot of other things too. But my question is, in today's music, and the past music, if you had to work with one new person of this generation right now in music and one that's in the past, the 1990s, which 2 people would you help produce that's on the market right now? Would you want to work with, do a collabo with?
Okay, so who I'd like to work with right now that I think would be interesting to do something with because they're open and they got a good ear and they will be susceptible to saying, okay, I dig that Stone. That's wow, that's right where it's at. 2 people. One would be Chris Brown because I feel like now it's time for Chris Brown to tap into this other thing. The other person would be Bruno because Bruno.
Love Bruno. Oh yes.
Bruno gets it, but it took Mark Bronson to make Bruno understand to go back and tap into the old school producer Mark, who produced a couple of those records. Some of his biggest little funk hits and stuff. And so, but Bruno gets it. Like if we were having this conversation, he'd sit right here and be shaking his head too. He gets it because his pops raised him on that old school.
Yes.
I think Chris Brown is susceptible. I think Chris Brown, he was able to reinvent his career again. He keeps doing it. But I think now it's time for him to dab into some of that authentic funk and soul and go to places that he hasn't tapped on yet, because he's done the little trap R&B for the younger generation.
Yes, he did.
He can do that all day long. He can
Right,
do that
right.
all day long, eyes closed. So now I'd like to see, and I'd like to be the one to work, one of the ones that work with him, to go into an area of some funk and soul and just some of that organic old school element, but still with a new school touch on it. That's who I would really like to mess with, because Chris gets it too. He gets it. He understands. He really understands, but he just hasn't tapped on it yet. And I think Usher should tap on it too, but eventually will. One or the other. Trust what I'm telling you. Either Usher or Chris Brown, one of them are going to end up tapping on it. Now, Justin Timberlake, he taps into it. He's trying to, tap into it a little bit with some of the retro funk songs, like pop funk songs he's doing. But as far as the ones that I would really want to dig deep into working with, Chris Brown would be one, and then Bruno, because
Those are excellent choices. Those are excellent choices. I mean, yeah, you get that. And I think it would be a switch for Chris Brown, but I think it would be a great switch for him because he's never done it.
It'll give him, well, see, because you got to remember, we're gonna be older than, and I tell people this all the time, because people are always like, oh, well, the younger people buy these kind of young records, these young people. And I always tell these young kids, I said, well, check this out, little young G, you're gonna be older than you are younger. So what you gonna say when you're 25, when you're 30? We're going to have a totally different conversation. So we're going to be older than we are younger. And that will continue to evolve even into the kids or our kids or grandkids. They're going to be older. All of us are going to be older than we are younger.
Oh, yeah.
So,
oh, yeah.
Funk and soul music is always going to be relevant, and it is not going anywhere.
Wow. Wow. Well, you know what? I had so much fun talking to you, but before we get out of here. So I'm on a couple of feeds that I don't want people are on these feeds. I don't want to get out of them. So can you play the people a little bit of a snippet of your music so they can hear before we get out of here? Because well, I was gonna. I can get rid of my feeds. I'm on live right now. There's people on my live.
Let's see what we can play. Hopefully, we don't have no feedback.
Yeah, well,
tell me if we do.
Okay, I will.
Okay, so this is a song. This is a single that's coming out on my new album that's coming on. Well, it's going to be June 7th, but we're changing it to July 7th.
Okay.
So this is a single. Tell me if you guys can hear it. Do you remember the first time we met? Remember the time I said, look in my eye. Remember how to take some night. Give you a dozen roses to your surprise. Remember you said your love don't exist. Even if you make a wish, nothing does stop. You said you couldn't sing like a tale. I'm asking you, do you remember what I said? Do you remember when? Do you remember when? Oh, silence, love is just begun. Love is just begun. Let's go in the wind. Let's go in the wind. It's going do you remember what you meant to do? You're my darling. Makes love more than physical. It's so correct.
Yeah, we can hear it. It's a little bit of feedback. What I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna put a link to this music down in the feed so everybody can hear his music. You know, sometimes on this Zoom, everything's filtered out so you can't hear it as well. But don't worry, I'm gonna put some links down in the feed. Well, Stone, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love talking to you, and I hope the viewers got some information. So how can they find you? How can they find you on IG and Facebook?
It's at Stone Paxton on IG, at Stone Paxton on Twitter. On Facebook, there's two different pages. Somebody took my other page. So when you do go to, if you go to the wrong page, just make sure you pay attention to the post because I have a new page and I have an artist page. And you just kind of have to pay attention. But it's Stone Paxton on Facebook. Follow the new page, not the old page. Like I said, when you go to it, you'll be able to tell which one is.
Okay.
I left comments.
No problem. So what I'll do is that I'll go back into the feeds again. We'll download this video, repost it again. I'll put all the feeds on how to reach him. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning to Girlfriendz Chat Corner. I am your host, Inga, and that is Stone Paxton. Thank you so much. Everybody have a good night.
Good night, you guys.
Good night.